The smell of gasoline clung to my throat like a warning I ignored too late. It was after midnight, the kind of hour where decent people are asleep and liars feel safest. I was paying for coffee I didn't need when I saw the car. Engine off, windows fogged, hazard light blinking like a dying pulse. My son's car. I didn't recognize him at first. Not really. He looked smaller, folded over the steering wheel, jaw unshaven, shoulders collapsed inward. Then I saw the child seat in the back, and the shape inside it. My granddaughter was asleep, her mouth slightly open, shoes still on. A half-empty juice box rolled near her feet. I stood there longer than I should have, long enough to feel something old and sharp press against my ribs. I knocked on the window. Once, twice. He flinched awake like he'd been struck. When he saw me, his face didn't change. That was what scared me most. No relief, no shame, just hollow recognition. I asked the question I'd been carrying for 3 months. "Where's the apartment I paid for?" His eyes dropped. His hands started shaking. Not dramatically, subtly, like his body was betraying him before his mouth could. "They changed the locks," he said. "Her mother and her parents." Silence stretched between us, thick and poisonous. "They said I don't have rights. Not to her, not to my own son." A pause. "They kept him." I felt something click into place behind my eyes, a soundless, irreversible shift. I opened the car door. "Get out," I said. He looked at me then, really looked, like a drowning man recognizing the current had changed. "Where are we going?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "To make them pay," I said. "And I know exactly how." I'd trusted them. That was the first mistake. I'd trusted the tears, the late-night calls, the rehearsed concern. I'd believed the story they fed me, that my son was unstable, irresponsible, unfit, that the boy needed structure, that courts were involved, that lawyers were expensive. So I paid. Quietly. Rent, groceries, legal fees that never materialized. Every receipt filed. Every promise documented. What I didn't know, what they never expected me to notice, was the pattern. The timing of the lock change, the sudden silence, the way my grandson vanished from photos but not from threats. They didn't want custody. They wanted erasure. And my son, exhausted, ashamed, loyal to people who were carving him out piece by piece, was the perfect weapon against himself. I drove that night without music, without questions. I already had enough answers to begin. I didn't sleep after that night. Sleep is for people who believe the world still follows rules. I sat at my desk while the city exhaled around me, pulling threads one by one. Bank statements first, then phone logs. Messages my son never knew were forwarded to a shared cloud account. I paid for years ago. I read everything twice, slowly. Patterns don't lie. People do. Her parents' numbers appeared too often. Late hours. Coordinated gaps. Calls right before every missed visitation. Every escalation followed the same rhythm. Pressure, silence, accusation. Classic isolation. Emotional strangulation done with clean hands. I ordered a DNA test without telling anyone. Not because I doubted blood. Because I doubted motive. When the results came back, I didn't feel relief. I felt confirmation. The boy was his. Which meant what they were doing wasn't fear. It was control. I requested court records under my name. Old favors still answer when you call them correctly. There was no active case, no judge, no paperwork, just threats spoken confidently enough to feel legal. They had changed the locks because no one stopped them. So I stopped being invisible. I documented everything. Screenshots, call recordings, time-stamped messages where they admitted, carelessly, that keeping the child was easier this way, that my son would eventually give up. They didn't know I was listening. I asked for a meeting. Neutral ground. Calm voice. I didn't accuse. I let them talk. People always do when they think they've won. They told me my son was weak, that the child needed better influences. That family sometimes has to make hard decisions. I slid the folder across the table. Not dramatically. Just enough. The room changed temperature. Their daughter cried first. Then her mother. Her father stayed silent, staring at the documents like they might dissolve if he didn't blink. I didn't raise my voice. There is no custody agreement, I said. What you did is kidnapping? No threat, just vocabulary. They tried bargaining, then justifying, then blaming my son. I let them exhaust themselves. When I stood to leave, I said one last thing. You took a child because you thought no one would fight back. I looked directly at the man who'd changed the locks. You were wrong. Outside, the air felt lighter. Not clean. Just honest. My son waited in the car. I handed him the spare key to the apartment I'd already reclaimed. The one with new locks. Court approved. He didn't thank me. He just breathed. Power doesn't feel like triumph. It feels like silence where fear used to live. They never went to trial. They didn't need to. Fear does more damage when it's precise. I filed nothing publicly at first. I let the knowledge sit with them. Let it rot. They knew what they'd done. They knew I had proof. They knew one wrong breath would turn their quiet little lie into a criminal record that would follow them until the end. Instead, I moved faster than they expected. Emergency custody, temporary order, law enforcement escort. No raised voices, no scene, just a uniform at their door and a clipboard. With my grandson's name, written correctly for the first time in months. The boy didn't cry when they handed him over. That stayed with me. Children cry when they're confused. He wasn't confused. Her mother collapsed into apologies that meant nothing. Her father tried to look authoritative until authority left his body. I watched him shrink in real time. Men like that always do when rules apply to them. They asked if we could talk. I declined, not out of anger, out of clarity. My son signed the papers with hands that no longer shook. He didn't look back when we walked away. He buckled his son into the car like it was the most normal thing in the world. That was the real punishment, normalcy without them. Later, I learned what happened next without asking. Social services flagged them. Schools whispered. Jobs hesitated. Friends distanced themselves. Not because I spread rumors, because truth has weight. They carry it now. My son sleeps indoors. His child laughs again. The car sits unused. Gas tank empty. Memory sealed. As for me, I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. There's a difference. Revenge wants an audience. Justice wants quiet. What I did wasn't about punishment. It was about correction. I adjusted the balance and stepped back. Some nights I still smell gasoline when I close my eyes. Still see fogged windows and a child asleep in the dark. That's fine. It reminds me why I don't hesitate anymore. If you mistake my silence for weakness, you will learn. If you mistake my kindness for permission, you will regret it. And if you ever take something that belongs to my blood, I won't raise my voice. I'll just open the door and tell you to follow me.